I don't, in this egoic form of Sally Ann, if I'm going to class myself as that, it doesn't know. And so it's hard not to keep flipping in and out of this ego state. So I hand it over and I relinquish all control. And for the first time, I gave up this idea of manifesting and knowing what I wanted to make me happy, because when I was trying to make myself happy on my terms, it wasn't consistent, you know. Okay, I could, I don't know, have a humongous bar of chocolate and be happy for all of 10 seconds. I could get a new car and be happy for all of 5 weeks. I could have the holiday of a lifetime and be happy for a week. But it's not the sort of happiness that is sustained, you know. It fulfills for about seconds, minutes, days or hours. It's just and then it peters away again, and it's not consistent. But I find by handing over my control back to God and relinquishing everything, that then you start to get this sense of happiness, and you're moving into a state of peace that is God's peace and that is consistent. And when you do the work, you can remain in that state consistently forever. And so there's no dipping in and out, because what we are in truth cannot dip in and out. When we get that feeling of dipping in and out, it suggests the time continuum, and it suggests separation, because what we are can never dip in and out. So my experience was to let go of all this manifesting and to just completely give it back to God and do the mind training work, which is in the Course in Miracles. And what I found now is that I am given on a much deeper level. And I've heard people say, I am living in the given. I am living in the given. Because of relinquishing everything, I don't even have to think, what is it that I need? What is it that will make me happy? What am I going to manifest today? Because it's already given. There's no thought about it. It just shows up, and you end up going, oh my God, look at that. I just thought how much I'd love that, and there it is. And oh, I just had this thought about so-and-so, and there it is. And there's no efforting involved whatsoever. There's not even a thought that comes before the receiving. The thought comes after the receiving. And the thought about how nice it would be, it comes after. And it's almost like, it's just amazing. And I heard the story of a girl who was also feeling this, and she was at a retreat, and she was sat around the breakfast table, and she had a really small bowl of cereal, and she really enjoyed it so much that she just had the thought crossed her mind that she would like some more, but she couldn't be bothered to get up and get it. Before she'd even finished thinking about this, a guy just showed up, and he put the cereal and the milk down on the table next to her and walked off. And she couldn't believe it. She was amazed, and it was like the one mind that we are started to really be the experience. And she knew that guy had just responded to the thought in her mind, and she knew then, this is what it means, and everything is given. And she was just blown away, and I was blown away by that. But then I started to have these experiences myself after doing the work, and just lately they're becoming like a consistent flow. I can give you a few examples. Like I'd gone up to the shop. It was a boiling hot day. I'd gone up to the shop and in the village, and I wanted an ice lolly. Felt really thirsty and I thought I really fancied an ice lolly. Anyway, I got so busy in the shop and I was talking to someone and I forgot to get myself an ice lolly. And I was just nearing home and this thought crossed my mind, I didn't get an ice lolly. And seconds later, my neighbour came out and said, hey, I've got something for you to try. Try this. Put this ice lolly in my hand. And I was like, my daughter was blown away and this really works, she said. And we were both laughing. So I got the ice lolly and then I was sat in the kitchen. And I swear down this is true. And I was working on my book and I'd been working on it for hours. This thought came into my mind, I need a break. It's time for a coffee. And with that I heard this click. And I spun round and the kettle had switched itself on. And I started laughing and I thought, thank God it's got water in it. And I started to laugh. And then another time I was snuggled up in bed and I thought, oh, I need to go downstairs and switch the heating and the water off. And I don't half fancy a coffee as well. I don't want to move. I'm so snuggled up. Seconds later, my 14-year-old son walks into my bedroom and he says, Mom, I'm just going down to switch the heat and the water off, he said. While I'm there, I'm going to make myself a coffee. Would you like one? So I said, oh, yes, please. So, it's just constantly given. And then it's not always about being given something. Sometimes it's an answer. You ask a question and there's an answer. And this happened in the woods the other day. I was walking in the woods and there was no one around until this man appeared in front of me. He came from the side and ended up walking in front of me. And he had this humongous dog which made my Doberman look tiny. It was big. And I thought, this thought crossed my mind, I wonder what breed that dog is. And this man turned around, he looked me in the eye, and he said, my dog is a cross between a Rottweiler and a Bulldog. I never even asked the question, I only had the thought in mind. And he spun round and answered. And so I was like, wow. And this is what happens when you give control back to God. And the miracles that flow. And you actually get things that are better than you ever thought they could be. And it's like, you know, when we sit down and write what we think we want, it just fades into paleness when in light of what God knows what we want. And that is that we couldn't, and when we get into this, it's so beautiful, we can't even sit down and write this stuff, what's given. It's just so beautifully perfect. And so that's what my experience has been. You know, like everything is given and I'm living in the given. And it's like this house thing with me at the moment. When I was guided to let go of this house, and I don't know what's coming, because I don't know what's best for me. I don't know where I'll end up or what will happen, but I trust 100% that God has it covered already. I trust with all my heart, and I am not worried, not one jot. Yet this has been going on for about 10 weeks, the whole process, and it's starting to come to an end now, where I've got 4 days left now. The bank have given me 4 days to come up with a miracle. 4 days. And the clock is ticking. And so, still I know not what's coming. Yet I had a slight insight the other day, a slight one of what might happen. And I said, no way, that can't be right. And I was like, I never would have guessed that in a million years. And how perfect would that be? And I started laughing because what the answer that was given me was beyond perfect and something that I'd never considered or even thought of. And so now I'm just sitting here thinking, oh my God, holy smoke, is this coming off? Is this coming off? And I'm not really going to share it because I want to wait to see what's coming off. But when the miracle occurs, I surely will be here sharing it with you guys. So there I sit with my 3 children and my dog, and we sit on the verge of what the world thinks as homeless, and what the ego sees as failure and humiliation. But you know what? For the world who sees it that way, they don't see the miracle. Because what's happening here in my life is God's taking from me what's hurting me. God's taking from me what's punishing me. He's giving me liberation. He's freeing me up. It's not about loss, you know. To let your house go to repossession or foreclosure, in the ego eyes, that is loss. It is sacrifice. It is humiliation. It is failure. But to the Spirit, it's success. It's freedom. It's liberation. It's allowing trust. It's allowing God to care for you. And the joy that comes from that and the miracle that unfolds in that is awesome. But I've got to have the trust and the faith in God to take this from me, knowing that we're all going to be cared for. And that's my part in it. And that's what I'm doing here. You know, I trust 100%. And I am excited to know what's about to unfold. And so, you know, that's it for me really, is to share this experience with you guys, and that when you give everything back to God and you relinquish control, you relinquish thinking that you know something, you relinquish the idea that you know best and you know what you want, you relinquish the idea of planning and having to know what's coming next. You let it all go and you put it back in the hands of God, then you get something far better than you ever expected. And that's my experience. I'm not going to waste my time thinking I know what's best for me. I'm not going to waste my time with these rituals of manifesting. I'm just going to hand it all over, knowing it is taken care of completely. And what's coming is something beyond my wildest dreams. And what's coming is the consistent experience of peace and happiness and joy. And that's where my heart is. It's back in the hands of God. And yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. It doesn't matter if you're still in that phase of the old style of manifesting. It doesn't matter. It's been given as a gift, and it's a stepping stone into a higher truth. And when you're ready, you can let go. And if you don't want to let go in this lifetime, that's fine too. You know, there's really no wrong or right or good or bad. All that I'm doing here is sharing my experience with you. That's all I'm doing. And yeah, I wish you well. And pray for peace for all of my brothers. I love you all. Amen.